The day I walked across that graduation stage, beaming with pride, was also the day I realized my entire family, my husband, my kids, even my own parents, had abandoned me for a backyard barbecue. But the real gut punch came later when my phone buzzed with an urgent message from my husband. "We need to talk." "Alicia, I have 45 missed calls from you." I'm Alicia, and at 35, I finally did it. I earned my master's degree after 5 brutal years. 5 years of working full-time, raising 2 amazing kids, and squeezing in night classes whenever I could. That day, standing on that stage, should have been pure triumph. But all I could see were 5 empty seats reserved for the family who never showed up. I clutched my diploma, surrounded by strangers celebrating, feeling utterly, sickeningly alone. My achievement meant everything to me, but apparently absolutely nothing to them. For 12 years, I'd been married to Nathan, a software developer, 37, with a stable job. We had Ethan, our 14-year-old, navigating that classic teenage my parents are embarrassing phase, and Sophia, our bright 11-year-old, already deep in her social life. We lived a comfortable life in the suburbs. Nothing fancy, just a 4-bedroom house with a small backyard perfect for the rare sunny Seattle days. My job as a financial analyst was demanding. 50-plus hour weeks were normal, especially during tax season. I was good at it, precise with numbers, patient with difficult clients. But year after year, I watched less experienced male colleagues leapfrogging me. "You need more credentials, Alicia," my boss would say. "A bachelor's is fine, but everyone has that. Senior management? You need a master's." After the 3rd time being passed over, something snapped. I decided I would get that MBA no matter the cost. The university across town offered evening classes, perfect for working professionals. 5 years of part-time study. I thought it was a solid investment in our future. What I didn't fully grasp was just how punishing it would be. My day started at 5:30 a.m., preparing breakfast, packing lunches. Then a full day at work. 3 evenings a week, I'd rush to class from 6 to 9 p.m., coming home utterly drained of dishes in the sink and homework that still needed checking. Weekends? Forget relaxing. I'd be locked away in our home office for hours, buried in assignments, while Nathan took the kids to soccer games or birthday parties. Mom is always studying. I overheard Ethan complain to his dad once. "She never has time for us anymore." That stung. God, it stung so much. But I rationalized it. This was temporary. This was for us. Once I had that degree and the promotion that would surely follow, we'd have more financial stability. Maybe even enough for that Disney World vacation the kids dreamed of. My relationship with my brother, Derek, only complicated things. 3 years older, 38 now, Derek was always the golden child. Successful real estate business, waterfront property, bachelor, no kids, traveling the world, sailing, wine collecting. Our parents, who lived 2 states away, never hid their preference. Growing up, they'd attend every single one of his football games, but conveniently miss my academic competitions. As adults, they'd drop everything to help Derek renovate his kitchen, but find excuses when I needed help with the kids during my final exams. "Your brother is just more fun to be around," my mother once told me after I finally confronted her. "You're always so serious and busy with your responsibilities." The irony was a punch to the gut. Being responsible was somehow a flaw. Despite these frustrations, I pushed through. I wrote papers until 1 or 2 a.m., studied flashcards during lunch, used every vacation day for exams, not family trips. I declined parties and weekend getaways, sacrificing every bit of free time for school. Nathan, bless him, was supportive at first. He'd pick up some slack, encourage me. But as the years dragged on, his patience wore thin. "How much longer is this going to take?" he'd sigh. "The kids barely see you." "Just 2 more years," I'd say. Then 1 more year. Then just a few more months. By the time graduation finally approached, our marriage was strained. The distance between us had grown into a chasm. Nathan had developed his own routines, his own social circles, often taking the kids to events or to visit his parents without me. I'd missed so many family dinners, school performances, and weekend outings that it had become their normal to function without me. This is why graduation meant so much. It wasn't just the degree. It was a chance to show my family, especially my children, that all those sacrifices had actually been for something meaningful. I wanted them to see me walk across that stage, to feel proud of their mom, to understand that you could pursue education at any stage of life. I craved that moment of collective celebration, that recognition that would make the past 5 years of sheer exhaustion worth it. When I graduate, I told Nathan about 6 months before the end, I want everyone there. You, the kids, my parents, even my sister Melissa. This is going to be a huge day for all of us. He nodded, squeezing my hand. Of course, babe. We wouldn't miss it for the world. Those words still echo in my head, a cruel, hollow taunt. 6 months out, I started planning meticulously. The university email detailed the limited guest tickets. I immediately requested the maximum 6. One for Nathan, Ethan, Sophia, my mom, my dad, and Melissa. I called my parents, gave them the date. We'll try our best, sweetie, my mother said, in that tone that implied a mental scramble for conflicting, more important plans. Still, I was optimistic. This was my graduation. Surely, they'd prioritize it. Melissa, my sister, seemed genuinely excited. You're Superwoman, sis, she cheered. I'll book my flight next week. With family attendance seemingly secured, I booked a celebration dinner at a highly rated Italian place near the university, Bellissimo. It was nearly $300, but this was a once-in-a-lifetime occasion. Deposit down. Done. I even booked a hotel for my parents at the Marriott using my business travel points. Everything was falling into place. For once, I felt excitement, not stress about school. 2 months before, I splurged on a new dress. A sophisticated navy blue sheath, elegant for the ceremony, beautiful for dinner. I booked hair, makeup, a manicure for the big day. These were luxuries I rarely allowed myself, always putting family first. Mom, you look pretty, Sophia said when I tried it on. Like when you and Dad got married. Her innocent comment brought tears to my eyes. I couldn't remember the last time I dressed up for anything other than work. The daily grind had erased any personal vanity. 3 weeks before graduation, the first tremor of trouble. Derek called. He rarely did, usually only when he remembered he had a sister. After perfunctory questions about my studies, he dropped the bomb. By the way, I'm throwing a massive barbecue at my place on May 15th. Just installed a new outdoor kitchen, gotta break it in. You guys should come. Kids would love the pool. My stomach dropped like a stone. Derek, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. That's my graduation day. I told everyone months ago. A pause. Oh, right. Forgot about that. Can you change your barbecue to another weekend? I asked, pleading. Not really, he replied, utterly unconcerned. Already invited like 30 people, including clients. But hey, when does your ceremony end? Maybe you could stop by afterward. My blood pressure surged. The ceremony is at 2 p.m., probably goes until 5. Then dinner. But that's not the point. My family is supposed to be at my graduation. Come on, Alicia, Derek said, that dismissive tone he'd perfected since childhood. It's just a graduation. You already had one for your bachelor's. This is just a piece of paper saying you took some extra classes. I was speechless. Just a piece of paper. 5 years of sacrifice, reduced to some extra classes. Before I could find words that weren't pure profanity, he continued. Look, Mom and Dad are coming to my barbecue. They already confirmed. And they're bringing Aunt Susan and Uncle Joe, who are visiting from Florida. You know how rarely we see them. Now I was seeing red. You told Mom and Dad about your barbecue before checking with me about my graduation date? I didn't realize it was such a big deal, he said defensively. You're 35, not 22. It's not like this is your first rodeo. We argued for another 10 minutes. He wouldn't budge. I grew increasingly upset. By the time I hung up, I was shaking with anger, fighting back tears. I immediately called my mother, hoping she would see reason. Mom, Derek scheduled a barbecue on my graduation day. You can't go to that instead. Her response was infuriatingly diplomatic. Oh dear, what bad timing. Can't you both reschedule? No, Mom. The university doesn't change commencement dates for individuals. This has been planned for a year. I told you about it 6 months ago. Well, It's just so difficult, she sighed. Your aunt and uncle will be here from Florida, and you know your father loves Derek's barbecues. Can't we come to both? The conversation went downhill fast, with her implying I was selfish for not understanding their desire to attend both, as if that were even physically possible. That evening, I tearfully recounted everything to Nathan, expecting his unwavering support. He listened attentively, rubbing my back as I poured out my hurt. Your family has always been like this, he soothed. But hey, you'll still have us there cheering you on. Me and the kids will be your fan club. That's what really matters, right? His words calmed me slightly. He was right. As long as my immediate family was there, I could handle my parents' predictable favoritism. Nathan and the kids had witnessed the daily struggle, the late nights, the stress, the headaches, the missed family events. They understood what this achievement meant to me. Promise me you three will be there, I said, looking into his eyes. No matter what, I promise, Nathan replied, kissing my forehead. Nothing could keep us away. I wanted desperately to believe him. By the way, if you're still with me, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I've got even more unbelievable stories coming your way. The day before graduation arrived in a flurry of last-minute preparations. I picked up my cap and gown, carefully hanging them. I polished my best black pumps, charged my phone and camera, ready to capture memories. My excitement was still there, but it was tinged with anxiety. Despite Nathan's assurances, I couldn't shake the feeling that something would go wrong. 2 days earlier, I'd received a formal, overly polite email from my parents explaining they'd be attending Derek's barbecue instead. They promised to take me to dinner next time they were in town. I read it once, then deleted it. Melissa had also backed out, calling with genuine regret. Her youngest had chickenpox, making travel impossible. I understood, but it still added to my growing sense of abandonment. At least I still have you three, I said to Nathan that evening, as we prepared dinner. He nodded distractedly, engrossed in his phone. He'd been texting frequently all day, but I thought nothing of it, until my phone rang. It was my mother. Alicia? I just wanted to call and see if the kids are still coming to Derek's tomorrow. He's setting up games for all the children, and Sophia and Ethan are on his list. I nearly dropped the pot of pasta I was draining. What? No, Mom. The kids are coming to my graduation with Nathan. Oh, she sounded genuinely confused. Derek said Nathan mentioned bringing them to the barbecue. There will be several families there with children their age, and Derek hired a lifeguard for the pool. They'd have much more fun than sitting through a long ceremony. My hands started shaking. I put down the pot and stepped away from the stove. I looked at Nathan, who was suddenly very interested in chopping vegetables. Mom, I need to go, I said abruptly, ending the call. The silence in the kitchen was deafening until I broke it. Nathan, why does my mother think you and the kids are going to Derek's barbecue tomorrow? He wouldn't meet my eyes. I might have mentioned to Derek that the kids were asking about the party. They heard about the pool and the games from their cousins, and you told him you were bringing them without discussing it with me first. Nathan finally looked up, his expression a mix of guilt and defiance. Alicia, be reasonable. The ceremony is 3 hours of sitting quietly while hundreds of names are called. The kids will be bored out of their minds. So instead of teaching them about supporting family and celebrating achievements, you're teaching them that fun always comes first. My voice was rising despite my efforts. This graduation represents 5 years of sacrificing time with them to build a better future for us. Don't you think it's important for them to see that hard work pays off? Nathan sighed heavily. Of course I do, but the kids really want to go to the barbecue. Ethan has been talking nonstop about swimming with his cousins, and Sophia heard her friend Jasmine from soccer will be there. Derek invited her whole family. So what are you saying? I asked, though I already knew the answer. That you want to take our children to a barbecue instead of watching their mother graduate with honors. Can't we compromise? Nathan suggested, his tone irritatingly reasonable. Maybe I take the kids to the barbecue and we meet you at the restaurant afterward? Or I could come to the ceremony alone and pick you up after dropping the kids at Derek's. I stared at him, incredulous. Do you hear yourself? This isn't about negotiating a business deal. This is about being there for me on one of the most important days of my life. You're being dramatic, Nathan muttered. It's just a graduation ceremony. Just a graduation ceremony. The exact words Derek had used, as if my accomplishment was trivial, a minor inconvenience. 5 years, Nathan. I cried, my voice quivering. 5 years of missing bedtimes, of studying until 2 a.m., of using every vacation day for exams instead of family trips. 5 years of you complaining about my absence, of the kids feeling neglected, of me carrying guilt on top of exhaustion. And now that it's finally over, now that I want one day, just one single day of recognition and support, you are all too busy with a barbecue. The kids should be able to decide for themselves, he countered. They're 14 and 11. Of course they'd choose a pool party. That's why parents make decisions based on values, not on what's more fun. The argument escalated. Ethan and Sophia came downstairs, drawn by our raised voices. When they realized what we were fighting about, they predictably sided with their father. Ethan declared only nerds care about graduation ceremonies, and Sophia tearfully asked why I wanted to ruin their fun. I went to bed that night without eating, too upset to stomach food. Nathan slept on the couch, a rare occurrence in our marriage. As I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, I wondered how we'd reached this point. How had my family become so disconnected from my life, so dismissive of my achievements? The irony was a cruel twist of a knife. I pursued this degree primarily for them, to provide a better lifestyle, to be a role model of determination. Yet, they couldn't give me a single afternoon of support in return. I cried silently into my pillow, mourning not just tomorrow's inevitable disappointment, but something deeper. A fundamental misalignment in how my family and I valued each other's lives. Sleep evaded me until the early hours. My graduation outfit hung like a ghost in the corner of the bedroom, a symbol of tomorrow's empty celebration. I woke disoriented after just a few hours of restless sleep. For a fleeting moment, I forgot the previous night's argument, my mind automatically shifting into graduation day excitement. Then, reality crashed back. I reached across the bed to find Nathan's side empty and cold. Dragging myself to the bathroom, I splashed cold water on my puffy eyes, trying to summon some enthusiasm. This was still my day, my achievement. I wouldn't let their absence ruin it completely. Downstairs, the house was eerily quiet. No sounds of breakfast, no TV cartoons, no bickering children. On the kitchen counter sat a hastily scrawled note. Took the kids to Derek's early to help set up. We'll try to make it back for your ceremony. Congratulations, Nathan. The note felt like a physical blow. Not even proper goodbye, just an afterthought. I crumpled it, threw it in the trash, and made myself a cup of coffee with trembling hands. The clock read 9:30 a.m. My hair appointment was at 10, makeup at 11. The ceremony began at 2 p.m., with graduates required to arrive by 1. Despite the hollow feeling in my chest, I forced myself to follow the schedule. The stylist commented on my subdued mood, but professionally avoided prying. The makeup artist did her best to conceal my swollen eyes, creating a polished look that sharply contrasted with my inner turmoil. Back home, I carefully put on my new dress, straightened the cap on my newly styled hair, adjusted the gown. I took a selfie in the full-length mirror, trying to smile, try to feel something beyond the hurt. I posted it to social media with a caption about achieving goals, tagging my family out of habit or perhaps spite. Congratulatory comments poured in immediately from coworkers, distant relatives, old friends, everyone except those who mattered most. I texted Nathan before leaving. I'm heading to the ceremony now. Are you still planning to come? 3 dots appeared, vanished, reappeared. Finally, his reply. Ethan took a bad fall while running around the pool. Nothing serious, but lots of tears. Might be late. Save us seats if you can. I didn't bother responding. Seats were assigned by graduate name. Family seating was general admission. There were no seats to save. Nathan knew this. He'd seen the information packet I'd left prominently on the kitchen counter for weeks. His message was just another flimsy excuse, another way to soften the blow of their impending absence. The drive to the university was a blur. I parked, made my way to the auditorium. Around me, students greeted family, posed for photos, receive flowers and hugs. I kept my head down, focusing on finding my place in the alphabetical lineup. My phone buzzed with encouragement from Linda, my closest work friend, and from Professor Jenkins, my favorite instructor. Their words were kind, but only emphasized the silence from my family. The graduates processed into the main hall to pomp and circumstance, an ocean of black gowns and square caps. From the stage, I scanned the audience, irrationally hoping to spot Nathan and the kids slipping in late. The ceremony began with speeches about perseverance and work-life balance, words that felt directed specifically at me. When my department was called, I rose. In those moments of anticipation, I made a decision. I would enjoy this moment for myself, not for anyone else. I had earned this. Alicia Marie Williams, Master of Business Administration with honors. I walked across the stage, head high, shook the dean's hand, accepted my diploma case, moved my tassel. There was polite applause, the same for every other graduate. No distinctive cheers, no special whistles, just the anonymous recognition of strangers witnessing another stranger's milestone. After returning to my seat, I felt oddly calm. The hurt was still there, but it had solidified into something harder, something that felt like cold resolve. I sat through the remainder of the ceremony in a detached state, clapping automatically while my mind raced. How would I address this betrayal? What did it mean for my marriage? For my relationship with my children? For my sense of self-worth? When the ceremony ended, graduates flooded the lawn for photos. I stood awkwardly at the periphery, watching families reunite. Flowers exchanged, champagne popped. I took a few obligatory photos with classmates, but felt like an imposter in their joy. I checked my phone obsessively. No messages from Nathan. Nothing from the kids. Nothing from my parents or Derek. I scrolled through social media. There it was. Derek had posted photos of his barbecue, tagging my parents, Nathan, and the children. They were all smiling, gathered around a fire pit, roasting marshmallows. The timestamp showed it had been posted 30 minutes ago, right in the middle of my graduation ceremony. Something inside me shattered. A dam of emotions I'd held back all day finally broke. I found a quiet corner behind the science building and let myself cry. Ugly, heaving sobs that smeared my carefully applied makeup and left me gasping for breath. When I finally composed myself, I decided to cancel the restaurant reservation. There was no point. As I pulled up the number, a text appeared from Nathan. "We need to talk urgently." Immediately afterward, I noticed something that sent a chill through me. 45 missed calls from Nathan, all within the past hour. My heart rate doubled. 45 missed calls could only mean an emergency. Had something happened to one of the kids? To my parents? I'd silenced my phone during the ceremony. In my emotional state, I hadn't thought to check for missed calls, only messages. With shaking fingers, I called him back. He answered on the first ring. "Alicia, thank God," his voice high-pitched with panic. "I've been trying to reach you for over an hour." "What happened?" I demanded, already walking quickly toward the parking garage. "Is everyone okay?" "It's Ethan," Nathan said, words tumbling out in a rush. He was climbing on that ridiculous new water slide Derek installed, showing off for his cousins, and he fell. "We're at Memorial Hospital. The doctor thinks his arm is broken." "I'll be right there," I said, breaking into a run despite my heels. "Is he in a lot of pain? How bad is it?" "They gave him something for the pain, but he's pretty shaken up. He keeps asking for you." That last part sent a wave of conflicting emotions through me. On one hand, my maternal instinct kicked in, desperate to reach my injured child. On the other, a small, bitter voice noted that now, suddenly, my presence was essential. I drove to the hospital in a state of heightened anxiety, alternating between concern for Ethan and simmering anger at the entire situation. My graduation gown lay crumpled in the passenger seat, the cap tossed carelessly in the back. My diploma case sat unopened on the dashboard. Memorial Hospital was only 15 minutes from campus, but the drive felt interminable. I rushed inside, still in my navy blue dress, my styled hair falling loose. The emergency room was busy. I gave Ethan's name and was directed to Base 7. Drawing back the curtain, I stopped dead. Ethan lay on the bed, his right arm in a temporary splint, face tear-stained but calm. Around him stood not just Nathan and Sophia, but my parents and Derek, and a doctor reviewing x-rays. They all turned to look at me, expressions ranging from relief to guilt to something that looked uncomfortably like pity. "Mom," Ethan called out, his voice small, childlike despite his teenage years. "You came." I moved immediately to his side, maternal instinct overriding everything else. "Of course I came, sweetheart. How are you feeling? What happened?" As I smoothed his hair back, the Dr. Ramirez approached. "Your son has a simple fracture of the radius," he explained, pointing to the x-ray. "Painful, but straightforward. We'll put a cast on it, and he should heal completely in about 6 weeks." I nodded gratefully, relief washing over me. A broken arm was serious, but manageable. Not life-threatening, not permanent. He was very brave, my mother interjected, patting Ethan's leg. Barely cried at all after the initial shock. I acknowledged her with a tight smile, but I couldn't bring myself to engage. The fact that they were all here, gathered around my son, when they couldn't be bothered to attend my graduation felt like salt in an open wound. Derek stepped forward, his expression contrite. "Thank God you got here, sis. The little man has been asking for you nonstop." Something in his casual tone, the ease with which he acted as if this were just a normal family gathering rather than the culmination of a profound betrayal, snapped what remained of my composure. "Thank God I got here," I repeated, my voice dangerously quiet, as opposed to where I was before, graduating alone, while my entire family enjoyed a barbecue. An uncomfortable silence fell over the small space. Nathan shot me a warning look, silently pleading for me not to do this here, not now. But 5 years of suppressed exhaustion, frustration, and hurt had reached a boiling point. I just spent the most important day of my professional life completely alone. I continued, my voice trembling but clear. No husband, no children, no parents, not even a single text message of congratulations. Because a barbecue and a pool party were more important than 5 years of sacrifice and hard work. "Alicia," my father began, his tone placating, "this is hardly the time or place." "When would be a better time, Dad?" I asked, tears threatening again. "When I'm back to being invisible. When I'm back to being the responsible one who never gets acknowledged. When I'm back to putting everyone else first, while none of you can spare a single afternoon for me." My mother looked genuinely confused. "Honey, we didn't realize it meant this much to you. It's just a ceremony," I repeated hollowly. "Just like it's just a degree, just an accomplishment, just my life." Derek, clearly uncomfortable, tried to deflect. "Look, what matters now is that Ethan is going to be okay. This was an emergency situation. And if there hadn't been an emergency," I challenged him, "would any of you have regretted missing my graduation? Would you have even thought about me at all today?" The silence that followed was answer enough. Nathan stepped forward, placing a hand on my arm. "Alicia, you're upset, and you have every right to be, but Ethan needs calm right now." I looked at my son, who was watching the adult drama unfold with wide, anxious eyes. Sophia stood beside him, chewing her lip nervously. They didn't deserve this. "You're right," I conceded, taking a deep breath. "Ethan needs us to focus on him." I turned my attention fully to my son, my voice steady and reassuring, compartmentalizing my hurt as I had countless times before. When the nurse came to take Ethan for casting, I volunteered to accompany him, needing a break from the suffocating presence of everyone else. As we walked down the hallway, Ethan, leaning slightly against me, spoke softly. "I'm sorry I missed your graduation, Mom. I really wanted to go to the party, and Dad said it would be okay." I swallowed hard. "It's not your fault, sweetie. Adults made those decisions, not you. But you're sad." "Yes," I admitted, seeing no point in lying. "I am sad, but I'm also very proud of myself, and I hope someday you'll understand why today was important." He nodded solemnly, his young face contemplative, suddenly looking older. "I'm proud of you too, Mom, even if I didn't see you get your diploma thing." His simple words were the first genuine recognition I'd received all day, and coming from him, they meant more than they would have from anyone else. After Ethan's arm was properly cast, we returned to find the bay empty, except for Nathan. He explained my parents and Derek had gone to get coffee, Sophia with them. The doctor says we can take him home, Nathan said, handing me discharge paperwork. He has a prescription for pain medication. I nodded mechanically, still in mother mode. I'll take him home. You can pick up the prescription. Alicia, Nathan began hesitantly. About today. Not now, I cut him off. Not in front of Ethan. Just then my phone rang. It was Linda, my co-worker, who had promised to attend. Alicia, where are you? I've been looking everywhere. I'd completely forgotten our arrangement. Linda, I'm so sorry. I'm at Memorial Hospital. Ethan had an accident. Oh my God, is he okay? Her concern was immediate, genuine. A broken arm. We're about to head home. Do you need anything? Company? Food? Someone to pick up prescriptions? Her thoughtful offers, in stark contrast to my family's behavior, brought a lump to my throat. Actually, would you mind coming over later? I could use a friend right now. Of course. I'll bring dinner. Text me your address. After ending the call, I noticed Nathan watching me with an odd expression. Who was that? He asked. Linda from work. I replied pointedly. She came to my graduation since no one else did. She's bringing dinner later. Before he could respond, my parents and Derek returned with Sophia, all carrying hospital cafeteria coffees and snacks. My mother immediately fussed over Ethan's new blue cast. My father asked about follow-up appointments. Derek hung back, uncharacteristically subdued. We're taking Ethan home now, I announced. He needs rest. We'll come with you, my mother declared. You'll need help with dinner and getting him settled. No, I said firmly, surprising even myself with the forcefulness of my response. Thank you, but no. Linda is bringing dinner, and I can manage my own son. The stunned silence that followed gave me a small, vindictive satisfaction. But we came all this way, my father protested, and we were planning to stay until tomorrow. You can go back to Derek's, I suggested coolly. I'm sure the barbecue is still going on. I need some space right now. Derek looked like he might object, but thought better of it. My mother appeared genuinely hurt, but for once, I couldn't bring myself to accommodate her feelings at the expense of my own. We parted awkwardly in the hospital parking lot, with promises to call tomorrow and check on Ethan. Nathan drove our car, Ethan carefully secured in the back, Sophia unusually quiet beside her brother. I stared out the passenger window, physically and emotionally exhausted. At home, I helped Ethan get comfortable, propped up with pillows, his favorite TV show playing. Sophia retreated to her room, clearly sensing the tension. Nathan hovered uncertainly, waiting for the inevitable confrontation. I'm going to change, I said, gesturing to my graduation outfit. Then we need to talk. Upstairs, I peeled off the navy blue dress. It should have been a symbol of triumph, but now felt like a costume from a failed performance. I put on comfortable clothes, washed the smeared makeup from my face, and took several deep breaths before returning downstairs. Nathan was in the kitchen, mechanically unpacking the prescription bag. He looked up when I entered. Alicia, I know you're angry, he began. Angry doesn't begin to cover it, I replied, keeping my voice low. I feel betrayed, Nathan. By you most of all. He had the decency to look ashamed. I made a mistake. I thought the kids would have more fun at the barbecue, and I didn't realize how important the ceremony was to you. How could you not realize? I demanded. I've been talking about it for months. I specifically asked you to promise you'd be there. All of you. I know, and I'm sorry. When Derek invited us, the kids got so excited, and it seemed like a harmless compromise at the time. A compromise implies both parties agree, I said bitterly. You made a unilateral decision to prioritize fun over supporting me. Nathan leaned against the counter, running a hand through his hair. You're right. I screwed up badly. But does one mistake erase 12 years of marriage? 5 years of me supporting you through your degree. Supporting me? I repeated incredulously. You complained constantly about my absence. You made me feel guilty for studying. You took the kids to events without even trying to include me. That's not fair, he protested. I've been juggling work and childcare and house maintenance while you were in class 3 nights a week. And I've been working full-time while studying nights and weekends for 5 years to build a better future for our family. I countered. We've both made sacrifices, Nathan. The difference is that I would never have missed an important milestone of yours." The truth of that statement hung heavy in the air. Nathan knew I was right. For all his complaints about my absence, I had always shown up for his important moments, rearranging my study schedule, even missing classes if necessary. "What do you want me to do?" he asked finally. "How do I fix this?" I shook my head slowly. "I don't know if you can fix it immediately. I need time to think about what this means for us, about whether I can trust you to value me and my accomplishments." "Are you saying you want a separation?" Alarm crept into his voice. "No," I clarified. "I'm saying I need space to process what happened today. I'm going to stay at the hotel I booked for my parents, just for a week. I need to clear my head." "A week, Alicia? Be reasonable. Ethan has a broken arm. He needs his mother. Ethan has a father who apparently is perfectly capable of making decisions without consulting me," I replied sharply. "He'll be fine for a few days with you in charge. I'll check in on him daily and come back if there are any complications." Nathan looked like he wanted to argue, but he seemed to realize he was in no position to deny me this request. "When will you leave?" "After Linda brings dinner and I explain things to the kids. I'll pack tonight and leave in the morning." As if on cue, the doorbell rang, announcing Linda's arrival. She brought not only dinner, as promised, but also a graduation gift, a beautiful leather portfolio embossed with my initials, and a card signed by several coworkers. "We're so proud of you," she said, hugging me tightly. "You worked so hard for this." Her simple acknowledgement brought fresh tears to my eyes. This was all I had wanted from my family, this basic recognition of my achievement. After dinner, while Linda helped Nathan clear the dishes, I sat down with Ethan and Sophia to explain my temporary absence. I reassured Ethan I'd check on him daily, that I wasn't leaving because of his accident. "I just need some quiet time to think," I told them. "Sometimes adults need space, just like you do when you get overwhelmed." Sophia, more perceptive than I'd given her credit for, asked directly, "Is this because we missed your graduation?" "Partly," I admitted, not wanting to lie. I was very hurt by that. But this is more about me needing to figure out what I want going forward. It's not a punishment for anyone. It's just something I need. To my surprise, both children accepted this with minimal protest. Perhaps they sensed the depth of my hurt, or maybe they were simply exhausted. Either way, they hugged me good night with an extra fierceness, as if already missing me. The next morning, I packed a small suitcase and drove to the downtown hotel, checking into the very room I'd originally reserved for my parents. The irony was not lost on me. As I settled into the quiet space, I felt a strange mixture of grief and liberation. For the first time in years, I had put my own needs first. The crushing guilt I had expected was surprisingly absent, replaced by a newfound sense of self-respect. Over the next few days, a flurry of apologetic texts and calls came in. My parents left a tearful voicemail, admitting they'd been thoughtless. Derek sent an elaborate flower arrangement to the hotel, with a card acknowledging his selfishness. Nathan called every evening, his tone increasingly desperate as he realized I was serious about this time apart. I spent the week reflecting on my relationships, my career goals, and what I wanted from the next phase of my life. I visited Ethan daily, bringing small gifts, helping him adapt to one-armed living. I had lunch with Sophia at her school, reassuring her that family challenges were normal and resolvable. I spoke with my boss about the senior analyst position, which had been unofficially offered to me. By the end of the week, I had reached several important conclusions. My family's behavior had revealed a painful truth about how they valued my contributions and aspirations. But it had also given me a profound clarity about my own worth and the boundaries I needed to establish. When I finally returned home, I was ready for the difficult conversations that would reshape our family dynamics forever. 1 week after my graduation ceremony, I drove home from the hotel with a sense of purpose I hadn't felt in years. The time alone had been transformative, allowing me to process my hurt without the constant pressure to forgive prematurely for the sake of family harmony. Nathan was waiting on the front porch, a tentative smile on his face. He helped carry my suitcase inside. The house was surprisingly clean and orderly. I later learned he'd hired a cleaning service, a quiet acknowledgement of how much domestic labor I typically shouldered. "The kids are at school," he said. "I thought we should talk privately first." We sat at the kitchen table, the scene of countless family meals and homework sessions. The familiar setting underscored how much had changed. "I've been thinking a lot about us, Alicia," Nathan began. "About how I've taken you for granted, about how I failed to support you when it mattered most." I nodded, appreciating his directness. "I've been thinking too," I said, "about what I need from this marriage going forward." "Tell me," he said, and for perhaps the first time in years, he seemed genuinely ready to listen. "I need respect for my accomplishments, Nathan, not just lip service. I need a true partner who values my goals as much as his own and the children's. I need to stop being the default parent, the default housekeeper, the one whose needs always come last." Nathan didn't become defensive, not like before. Instead, he acknowledged the raw truth in my words. "You deserve all of that. I see now how I've been putting you last, even while complaining about your absence. It was unfair and hypocritical. We talked for hours, more honestly than we had in years." Nathan revealed his own insecurities about my educational advancement, fearing I would outgrow him professionally. I share my deep resentment over bearing the mental load of family management while pursuing my degree. We discussed practical changes, hiring occasional help with housework, creating a fairer division of parenting responsibilities. When the children returned from school, we had a family meeting. Ethan, his cast now decorated with colorful signatures from classmates, sat solemnly as we explained we were working through challenges, but were committed to being stronger. "Does this mean you're staying, Mom?" Sophia asked, her voice small. "Yes," I assured her, "but it also means some things will be different. I'll be starting a new position at work soon with more responsibility, and everyone in this family needs to contribute more at home." To my surprise, both children readily agreed. Ethan volunteered to take over lawn mowing duties once his arm healed. Sophia offered to be responsible for laundry sorting. They seemed almost relieved to have concrete ways to help maintain our household. Over the next few days, I had similarly forthright conversations with my parents and Derek. I invited them over individually, not wanting to feel outnumbered. My parents arrived first, bearing gifts and apologies. My mother handed me a card containing a substantial check, clearly hoping to buy forgiveness. I returned it gently but firmly. "This isn't about money," I explained. "This is about recognizing a pattern that has existed my entire life. Derek's events always take priority. His achievements are celebrated, while mine are minimized." My father looked genuinely surprised. "We had no idea you felt this way, Alicia." "That's part of the problem," I replied. "You never asked. You never noticed." The conversation was uncomfortable, but absolutely necessary. I didn't demand dramatic promises or tearful apologies. Instead, I established clear boundaries. I would no longer accept last-minute cancellations or secondary status in family priorities. I would no longer exhaust myself trying to earn approval that was freely given to my brother. Derek's visit was equally revealing. Without the buffer of our parents or my children, he was forced to confront his role. "I never intentionally tried to overshadow you," he insisted. "Intent doesn't erase impact," I countered. "Your barbecue could have been scheduled for any weekend. You chose my graduation day, then refused to change it." To his credit, Derek didn't make excuses. "You're right. I've been selfish. I think I've gotten used to being the center of attention in this family." We reached an understanding that would require ongoing effort. I didn't expect decades of patterns to change overnight, but I was no longer willing to accept being an afterthought in my own family story. The weeks that followed brought gradual healing. Ethan's arm mended steadily, a visible reminder of how resilience can follow injury. My promotion to senior analyst came through, complete with a significant salary increase and a private office. The extra income allowed us to hire a weekly cleaning service, relieving some of that domestic burden. Nathan followed through on his promises, taking on more parenting responsibilities and making a point to celebrate my professional achievements publicly. The children, watching their parents model new behaviors, began showing more appreciation for my contributions, both at work and at home. Perhaps the most meaningful gesture came a month after graduation. Derek organized a small surprise party specifically to celebrate my master's degree. He invited my close friends and colleagues, ordered a cake decorated with my university's colors, and gave a speech acknowledging my determination and intelligence. My parents attended, bringing a framed professional photograph of me in my graduation regalia, which they had commissioned themselves. It was a beautiful evening, but its significance went beyond the celebration itself. It represented a fundamental shift in how my family perceived my accomplishments, a recognition that my milestones deserve the same attention and respect as anyone else's. As I prepared to hang my diploma in my new office, I reflected on the unexpected journey that had followed my graduation day. What should have been a simple celebration had instead become a catalyst for profound change in my most important relationships. I had learned that sometimes the greatest gift of education isn't the degree itself, but the self-knowledge that comes with it. I learned that standing up for myself didn't mean losing my family, but rather creating healthier connections based on mutual respect. I learned that setting boundaries, though initially painful, ultimately allows for more authentic relationships. Most importantly, I learned that my worth was not determined by others' recognition, but by my own sense of accomplishment and integrity. The empty seats at my graduation had initially felt like rejection, but they had ultimately led to a fuller understanding of my own value and the courage to demand that others recognize it too. Sometimes the deepest wounds lead to the most significant growth. Have you ever had to stand up for yourself with family members who took you for granted? How did you handle it? Share your experience in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories about navigating family dynamics and finding your voice. Thank you for listening to my journey, and remember that your achievements deserve celebration, even if you have to be your own biggest cheerleader sometimes.